Hi, this is Roberta McCulloch-Dews, host of Backstory Let's Hear It. Today's episode contains accounts of sexual abuse that may be difficult for some listeners. Hi, everyone. You're listening to Backstory Let's Hear It on WTBR-FM Pittsville with Roberta McCulloch-Dews. Thanks for tuning in. So today we have with us TLance Black, a Pittsville resident and staffer at Keenan House. And TLance will be sharing his personal story of triumph over addiction, loss, many challenges. But, you know, he's a survivor. Yes. And he's proud of that, and he's proud of the path that he's on. And so we just want to thank him for being vulnerable and sharing his story, because we think that it will encourage someone else out there. So thank you, TLance, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right, so you live in Pittsville now, but you're not a Pittsville native. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Springfield, Mass.
Okay.
And it was different from where I'm living at today in Pittsville. I went to school and had friends on the block, and your mama used to tell me, you better get your butt in the house before the sunlight, before the street light, come on. And everybody kept their doors unlocked back then. We felt safe. We felt really safe.
And you probably knew everyone on your block.
Well, we did know everybody on the block because everybody had cookouts, and when somebody else's mother was sick, they came over to your house and spent the night, and it was just that, it was family type oriented neighborhood.
Right. I kind of know something about that because we had that growing up too, to some extent, where we were able to know our neighbors and ride our bikes until the street lights came on, and there was I guess freedom in that. Yeah. We could just ride around. And also, too, I think there was like neighbors, if they saw something, they would say something to you. If they, you know what I mean? Like if they saw you doing something, they would talk to you.
They would talk to you, and they was able to actually, reprimand you right there on the spot. And then they wait for your mother to get home, and your mother would reprimand you as well. So you got 2 for 1.
Exactly.
And you learn how to be very respectful to your elders.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly. There was definitely that respect level at work, and we saw that, and we experienced that too. So,
but there was a lot of things back then. What was said and done in the house stayed in the house, so we didn't really share a lot of different details, what was going inside the house.
For better or for worse, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, and I think we need a disclaimer, right? To because I'm about to share some things, and I want people to know that it's molestations is part of my story. Like being a kid and, not having many uncles and not having a male role model. In my family, I tended to hang out with my aunts and my female cousins. Yeah. So my mother was in her last, got pregnant, and she had me. Well, first of all, my mother gave me up. She feared that she wasn't going to be able to raise me properly. Yeah. So
how old was she when she had you?
20.
She was 20.
She was 20. She was 19 when she was pregnant, and she had me when she was 20. And she comes from a huge family, but it was embarrassing for her to get pregnant and to be an unwed mother. She comes from the South, and she'd come up north, and they'd caution her, be careful about the men up north, right? And she feared that she wasn't going to be able to take care of me, so she gave me up. And my aunts rallied around her and told her, we will raise you as a family. Okay. And so she went back and came and got me.
Okay. Where did you go in that brief amount of time?
For that 2 weeks, she had me in Boston. Oh. She hid me for her whole pregnancy.
So they didn't even know?
No.
She must have been little.
She left. She went to Boston.
Oh, she went to Boston.
Yeah,
okay.
she went to Boston for like 10 months. Okay, when she found out.
Right. So at that point, no one could see her because I was thinking maybe she wasn't showing.
No one could see her. Okay. Nobody knew she was pregnant.
Okay.
And when she came back, she shared, and they rallied and told her to go back and get me. And so, and I found this out when I was 13 years old. And 13, 14, like, and I had this belief, like, my family always believed, like, we don't leave no one behind. And growing up in church, we always went to all the sick and shut in, and we always made sure everybody was fed, everybody had warm clothes, and everything. So I always had that mindset, we leave no one behind. And growing up and maturing and all through my life, I always believed we don't leave no one behind. We leave nobody behind because of their drug addiction. We don't leave nobody behind because of their disability. We don't leave behind no one because of the color of their skin. Right? Yeah. Somebody asked me, what race are you? And I said, I'm part of the human race. I don't know. I'm not alien.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're a part of the human race. That's right, Lance. Well, you were telling us about just your mom, because I think it's going to open up the other aspects of what you went through.
So, like, during the summer of I think it was 76, I was 10 years old, and my mom was having difficulty carrying my baby sister after 10 years, not being pregnant, whatever. And she had me go stay with my father, and my father was a pimp. And he had me stay with one of his workers. And he trusted this worker to take care of me. So for a whole summer, this worker conditioned and molested me all summer long. And I didn't see nothing wrong with it at 10 years old. Like, we were riding a GTO. I don't know if anybody know about this car, but it didn't have no AC. And in the middle of the hot summer, he would roll the windows up and he would smoke his weed. And I got high and got goofy. And this man was paying so much attention to me. And when I get to the concession stand, he would buy me everything I want.
So he was a predator.
He was a very dangerous predator. And I was unaware. I just thought he was showing me a fun time.
You're a kid.
I didn't even see nothing wrong with waking up with having little mosquito bites on my arm.
Right.
And I realized today what they were. I was being drugged and conditioned. Taking showers with a grown man. I didn't see nothing wrong with it. We was running late. He would say, just jump in the shower with me so we can get to where we need to go.
Right.
Conditioning. So, yeah, and I even had to get to a point later on where I probably discussed this in my recovery where I had to forgive him.
Let me ask you, how long did this go on for?
For a whole summer.
A whole summer.
A whole summer. And when I went back to school, and when it was time for me to go to school, I went back to my mom, and I didn't even know I was suffering from withdrawal. I was angry. I was eating up all the vitamins in the cabinet, medicine cabinet at home.
And that was because this person gave you vitamins.
He called them vitamins.
He called them vitamins.
But they was actually now I know they were called Black Beauties and stuff.
Okay.
But he was
What is Black?
It's a type of drug that makes you mellow and makes you drowsy and makes you feel happy and good and warm and fuzzy. And so, after conditioning me all summer long and whatever he was injecting into me, I was going through acute withdrawal, and I was angry.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't getting that fix. As a 10-year-old, I wasn't getting this fix. Not only was I not having his company, which I was missing, but I wasn't getting that fix from that drug.
Because that person had been giving you drugs, and now you were completely cut off. And your body
it's yearning.
It's yearning for drugs because it had been accustomed to having the drugs all summer.
So I go to school, and one of the girls at school was making fun of me, and I didn't like the way she was making fun of me, and I went back home and went to my mother's sewing kit and grabbed her shears.
Yeah.
And I said, everybody, y'all want to see something funny? And I cut one of her ponytails off. Well, unfortunately, her mother was the vice principal of the school. It was L School in Springfield, Mass. Elementary, and I went on a 2-week vacation, and then next thing you knew, I was riding a little yellow bus.
When you say 2-week vacation, did that mean you were suspended?
I was suspended, but in my mind, I was on an early 2-week suspended. My mom didn't yell or whatever. If she did, I don't remember. I was just so angry, and she just told me, "You're going to be home for the next 2 weeks." So for the next 2 weeks, I was sitting in the house. And back then, a 10-year-old could stay home by himself.
Right.
Not today.
Right.
But back then, you could stay home by yourself.
It was different.
Life was much different back then. So I started riding this bus with mentally challenged kids.
So let's talk about that. So you were put in special ed.
I was put in special ed for having an anger issue.
Okay. But it was really because you had undiagnosed trauma.
Yes.
Okay.
Nobody knew.
Right.
I never shared with anyone why I was so angry. Nobody never asked me why I was so angry.
That's it. Because you went from being a happy child,
right,
to just being angry.
Angry.
And no one. What did your family say? Did they not notice the change?
They noticed the change, but they would feed me.
Okay.
Like my mom would do everything. She would try to, she was trying to do everything possible. She was in a bad relationship herself, so I would just run off to my aunt. So run here, run there, and as long as I was back home before the street lights came on, I didn't get in trouble. My mom gave me lots of sweets.
Yeah.
She baked a lot of cakes and banana puddings. And
do you think that was a way for her to almost like, okay, she's satisfying your sweet tooth, but almost just like, here's a little something to make you happy. So maybe if she sees you angry, she just wants to make you happy.
The anger subsided because once the withdrawal stopped, I became normal again.
Okay.
So after I got through the withdrawals and that aspect, I wasn't angry no more.
Okay, but what about the other stuff that you went through, though? How did you manage those feelings?
I found myself, I won't say wanting to be like a girl, but I remember we would go in our garage, top of the garage, and one would jump off, say, I'm Superman. One would jump off, I'm Batman. I was like, I'm Wonder Woman. And I would do my little twirl. They said, you can't be Wonder Woman. I said, why? Because she's a girl. And I said, so? And the guys, my friends, would leave because they didn't want to be.
They just left.
They just left. And, and I found early, like I can buy my friends because I used to get $5 and $10 allowance a week. So they were my friends when I had candy.
Okay, so they were around for what you could give them.
Yes. So I always felt like I needed to give someone in order for them to show me attention.
So let's go back a little bit because let's stay there for a second because in a way, because that's what was shown to you.
Right.
This person, this predator, used money,
and candy,
used drugs to basically condition you, a child, and you thinking about that behavior, thinking, okay, that's something to model. And then you start to repeat that behavior with your friend group.
My friends group. And the more money I had, the more friends I had, the more they stayed around. The more I dangled the money, the more longer they stayed around. I learned not to give all my candy away at one time. Like, I
gotta ration it.
I gotta ration it, And that's terrible to be thinking that way. But that's the way I was conditioned, and I didn't see no other thought pattern. I didn't have no other thought pattern. Even when I used to call myself an entrepreneur. When we used to shovel our friends' yards and stuff, we I would charge them $3 and keep $4 and say the lady only gave us $9, but she really gave us $10. And I kept $4 and I didn't shovel. I became a manipulator. And something I wasn't proud of. Because I felt that I needed to take control back.
Right. So almost like you were looking to assert, like you said, assert that control, but then you started doing things perhaps that was against your character.
It was against my character because I was going to church every Sunday. Yeah.
So while all of this is
so after the summer life, I'm still going to church. I'm still singing in the youth choir, the intermittent choir, and the youth choir, and all of this, going to the sick and shut in, going to Bible study, doing all these things, but holding this big secret.
And no one from your church, did anyone sense a difference in you?
They sensed a difference, and they told me, we're going to pray for you.
Okay.
So I went to two different churches. Like, I went to Church in God in Christ, and they prayed over you versus a Baptist church.
Yeah.
They reacted differently to different situations. I don't know if you ever notice how a Church of God in Christ will act to a situation, and they believe in praying over you and putting hands on you versus being in the old-time Baptist church and, and we're going to preach it out of you, but we ain't laying hands on you. It was two different approaches. And so at any given point, I would either go to my aunt's church or my other aunts. I have many aunts that belong to a lot of different churches here in Springfield.
Okay.
But I kind of, as I grew up and grew out of that, like one of my favorite cousins recognized something in me that was in him.
Okay.
And like my eldest aunt's first son was gay.
Okay.
But the baby's daughter, my mom, first son is gay. So I knew that 13, she had 13 siblings, 10, 11, 12 siblings. She's the baby out of 13.
Yeah.
So we had this common bond, and I looked up to him. And on his deathbed, he told me that I'm going to go through a lot of trials and tribulations, but to stay fast because there's something better for me, and to just stay fast. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. And we believe back then, if somebody was talking to you on your deathbed, they was like foretelling, you know, and like giving you.
So he was seeing something in your life about what you were about to face, and you hadn't. There was no inkling at that point that you were going to go through it.
Nothing. No, there was none. There was no inkling. And I had laughed at at him today. I love him dearly. He's my favorite cousin. He will always be he passed away about 20-something years ago. He foretelled this. He foretelled my life. And like even just being, as I'm growing up, being a part of Relieving the One Behind. And after finding out at 13 that my mom went back for me. She didn't leave me. She went back for me, right? Who knows where my life would have turned out. But because she didn't leave me behind, even though I went through all these trials and tribulations, I believe that God had a purpose and still has a purpose for me to experience. Today, I love working with kids. Like I rode a little yellow bus, people are mentally challenged, right? And I got to see firsthand what they were subject to. Now, if you have never ever been in somebody else's shoe in life for 2 years, it felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, like I was on, like really, I was.
Because all you had was anger. You didn't have a learning disability.
And then the anger left.
And then you were just back to your regular state.
I was, and I was like, and I would sit there and get mad at the kids making fun of us, walking from the index, carrying our trays, and some of these were really on a different high on the spectrum of autism, right? And not being able to speak their words or be able to, but they had a different art, different gifts, and be able to see that at a young age, at 11 years old, watching these, they may not. This one kid. He would draw the alphabet. He knew the ABCs, but he would make an artwork. He would make an A, and then he would make a shadow of a B. And then make a C and then shadow, and the E like he would make it art. And it is done like autism art. And so he was smart. He was
because you have brilliant people who just so the autism doesn't take away from their brilliance. It's just.
And there was just some of the kids wore helmets and and
so
it was like it was a nightmare.
What were you learning during this point though?
Nothing.
Okay, because I'm thinking about your learning.
No, I'm not learning anything. From the 4th to the 6th grade, I stopped learning educational wise.
And nobody checked in on you?
They just once I started behaving because I was angry. I was like, why? And I just cut up right in the beginning. And then I started doing my homework. And they're like, no, I will go to the classroom. This is how I do. I knew my timetables. I knew my alphabet. I knew how to spell. I knew how to make sentences. I knew all these things in the 5th grade. And it wasn't until after the 6th grade where they decided to promote me into the 7th. So from the 4th to the 6th grade, I was in this nightmare.
That's crazy.
It was. But that's what they did with the kids back then, and people of color. And like I said, the girls who I harmed, and And to her embarrassment, her mom was the vice principal of the school. She was not going to let that go. She was keeping me stuck.
Yeah, well, you chose the wrong one to cut your hair.
I chose the wrong one. But the blessing.
Yeah.
Because I needed to turn this around. Like, being able to, today, like, I have, like, 3 guy kids that are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I love them dearly. Like, I'm a cheerleader for them. Like, I get them. I understand them. I don't no longer laugh.
Yeah.
I don't laugh at people with disability.
Yeah. But it took you. I mean, you're a mature adult today, so it took you some time to get to that point.
Oh yeah.
Do you think after your experience, after you have been, you're promoted to the 7th grade, and you have now been able to leave that behind? Did you have any feelings about what you went through?
No.
You just said, okay.
No, because it followed me. Just because they took me out the class, everybody in the neighborhood knew what school you went to. Everybody called you different names back then, and and you was a product of getting on the little yellow bus. You didn't get to go to their school, and everybody, you had to follow you. And so what I turned out is I started getting handsome and started looking fly and stuff. And so I didn't want to hang out with no certain one group.
Okay.
I mean, I got to be treasurer and of the school body.
Yeah.
I became popular.
Yeah.
I ran track.
Okay.
So there was some things, some perks with, but I didn't hang out with one set of people.
Okay.
I hung out with the underdogs.
Okay.
I didn't, I was popular, handsome, and all of that, but I didn't want to. That wasn't. I wanted to stop the beauty thing.
Okay.
And wanted to hang out with the normal people. To me, that was normal.
Okay.
The people that were the nerds were normal.
Okay.
To me, they were the underdogs.
So wait, what did they call the beauty group? Because you just
they had the fly clothes and the nice hairdo, nice shoes, and
all right.
had the whatever. And I had that, but that's not wasn't me though. It was I wanted people to love me, and so I wanted everybody to love me. So I hung out with everybody.
I'm going back again to Little Lance.
Okay.
And do you think Teenage Lance did all of that and took pride in his? I mean, you're always well groomed and you always take pride in your appearance. But do you think that, especially when you were a teenager, that it was important, again, controlling the narrative, taking back your power, and then also with your friend group wanting people to like you, that need to be loved?
I wanted everyone to love me, and however you thought you would love me, I would give it to you.
Okay.
So I did everything from stripping in clubs that are underage. At the gay clubs and straight clubs. You told me you love my body. I would show you more. I would wear something tighter. I would, if you told me something, some aspect that you love about me, I would try to give it to you because I want to hear the acclimate.
Right.
I want to.
So so you are seeking acceptance.
Seeking acceptance and love in all the wrong places.
Because how did you did all of that? How did it all turn out for you? Did you find what you were looking for?
I didn't find out what I was looking for until 87. I'm going to skip up to I decided to move down south. Yeah. And became a gay man out.
Okay, so you left Springfield.
I left Springfield, moved down to D.C. Up here, I had a hair salon. And, I went to school, got my license to be a cosmetologist, and I did a lot of things. And then it was bringing in attention that I didn't want because I was trying to hide. So I figured if I moved down south or moved to D.C., I can be like freely me and have a boyfriend. And had a boyfriend, and then what happened is one day he got really, really sick. Okay. And I didn't know what to do. So I rushed him to the hospital, and the doctor said he had 60% chance of not making it. And I went to a friend's house, this girl, and she was doing a substance that I didn't know what she was doing. She kept running. I said, girl, I just wanted to smoke a little joint. That's all I want. I just wanted a joint. That's how long ago. We don't even say joint no more.
Right.
I just wanted to smoke a joint. And she kept running out the bathroom. And I said, whatever you're doing in there, I need you in here. I need you for you to roll this up because I don't know how to roll. Can you just come in here and do this? And whatever you're doing in there, just do it in here.
Yeah.
So she was putting this pebble on this pipe. And the euphoria that she got from it, and I said, I want to try that. And she told me, and she warned me. She warned me. It's like the label on something that tells you don't do this because this harm will come. She warned me, and I said I don't care. And I took a hit of it, and I spent $1,500 that same night, and I stopped caring about who was in the hospital. Like my drug addiction started from there. From that night. From that day in 1997. Like.
And was that so? That was that.
It was crack cocaine. It was crack cocaine.
But like the rock.
The rock, yes. And but prior to that, I've been a health buff. I never did drugs. I would drink. Once in a while, if I go to the club and somebody had a joint, I would take a puff, but I put it down. I was a hard worker. I remember going down to D.C. and Filene's Basement came to town, and I applied as a cashier. And after 3 years, I worked my way up, and I was the first person to make floor manager without having a bachelor's degree. Okay. So I busted my butt. Yeah. To get to where I was at. Yeah. And and here's another disclaimer I'm about to say. So I didn't understand how this pebble. I was undiagnosed as an addict. Yeah. So I didn't understand how this pebble had so much control over me. It told me when I was going to work. It told me when I was going to bed. It told me if I was going to lie to my partner. It told me if I was going to work, what time I was going to work. And prior to that, we had a house, a half-attached house, brick colonial house with 2 dogs, 3 bedrooms. It was I had a beautiful life before that hit. And I got to a point where I felt like I was worthless. Mind you, I was still undiagnosed. I just knew that I needed to have this. I needed to the point where I'm worthless. I don't deserve to live. I'm lying to my partner. I'm stealing from our savings account. Who am I? I don't know who the hell am I, right? And I can remember trying to commit suicide because I just didn't want to live anymore because I didn't want to know how not to. Yeah. I would tell myself, I'm not going to do this. Yeah. I'm not. I'm going to go to work, and then I would see Rocco outside, and I just go whoop whoop, and the process.
Was that the dealer?
Yes, the dealer. And so I would look out, and he would be out there, and having no defense mechanism. Like, again, I keep saying undiagnosed, Narcotics Anonymous, NA, has not been into my life yet. So I tried to commit suicide, and thank God it didn't work. I woke up with a bad hangover. And that's how I ended up back up north. I had to leave my partner. And he passed away from HIV and AIDS, and my cousin had passed away, and I wanted to do something to be a part of their life, and I started to join different organizations with HIV Stop With Me, and I'm actually on posters and billboards in Boston. Okay. I got to be a face.
Do you have a copy of any of them still?
I do. Okay. Actually, I just took one down at my job. We had one still. We had a poster, a brochure with me in there. And they said, oh, my God, that's you. And then, yes, that's me. I believe that we leave no one behind. I felt like my cousin was left behind.
Why do you feel that?
Because the information at the time when he left in the 80s, it was just like a death sentence. And the information we had, we were too afraid to even use other people's utensils or be in the same room for a long period of time.
Yeah, it was very different.
It was very different, and I felt like he died alone.
Yeah, a lot of people
did. I never want anybody, after I got clean for the first time, I didn't stay clean, but I got clean for the first time. I wanted to make a difference with people that had drug addiction and HIV And I wanted these people not to feel, this demographic of people not to feel left out. Because of some things were beyond their control.
Right.
And some things was a habit. But if you combine them together, it's a dangerous cocktail for a lonely person.
Absolutely. For those listeners just tuning in, my guest today is TLance Black. He is a Pittsville resident and staffer at Keenan House, and he is sharing his personal story of just the many challenging things he has experienced. But there's also a bright side at the end of this story. So he's just getting into it. So please continue.
So the bright side of it, right? I got to meet I got to meet the governor, Duvall. I got to sit down with him and to help relinquish more funds for people who are HIV positive, for people who are drug addicts.
Wait, let's go back to that. How did you meet the governor?
Oh, so doing work, I heard that saw somebody asked that I wanted to help with needed exchange and everything, and would I mind sitting on this board? It's called Statewide Consumer Advisory Board in Boston. And so we all had a certain demographic, and so we would talk with the governor to help relinquish funds or get more funds and tell them the necessity why we need more funds.
So you were advocating.
Oh, yes, I was. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. I was an advocate.
Yes.
And so a lot of the funds and a lot of organizations that are here now, 20 years ago, I started in Boston. That all the harm reduction programs that are now started from us in Boston. And it is able to spread through the Western Mass. There's a lot of people don't know that the sweat and the long hours and the long marches and the sign holding and sacrifices that we did in the early 90s and 200s is why we have some of the things we have today. I tell people, we are standing on other people's shoulders and don't even know it, and don't even give them the respect, like the acknowledgement that they deserve. Like, we didn't get here by osmosis.
Yes, we have. I think that's key, Lance. We have to remember the people have come before,
and the people that came before us, trying to make a difference for what we have today. And they even say, like, the field that I work in.
You want to talk about Keenan House now?
Yes, I still work at the Keenan. So that's just funny how I got the job.
Yeah, because you had come back up north after you went through everything. You came back up north because at that point, I'm just setting the stage for Keenan House. You felt like you wanted a fresh start?
Yes, and I had a relapse. And I came to Pittsville beaten and broken. And
what year was that?
This was in 2012. I got clean again in 2011, and I found my way to the Keenan. I was a client, a resident at the Keenan House. I started there as a resident, and I told myself, "Oh, never work as a case counselor. No, that's not for me."
Why you said that?
Because I just felt like it. I didn't think it was for me, and I used to hear people, everybody gets clean and they know everything. Well, I didn't want to be one of those people. I didn't have no plans to stay here. I got me a Goodwill job at Dunkin' Donuts, was on Social Security, and for 5 years, and then something clicked. I can do more than be a night manager at Dunkin' Donuts. Like my God has so many amazing things, and such a, like, I look back and saw all the things that I have done in the past and God has placed me to overcome, and he didn't bring me this far to drop me off. So I decided to go back to school. And I decided I could take care of my dad. Now he's dead. He's ailing, and I wanted to be a registered nurse. But my dad passed away before I had a chance to get to that place at the LPN and RN part of school. So I lost the interest. And at the same time of going to school and visiting my dad at Hillcrest, I have sponsees now.
Okay.
Like I got 8 years clean. I got sponsees. I got
Right.
people
Yeah.
that look up to me and they want me to guide them in their recovery. And I have female and male. They normally will say men with the men and women with the women. But I have this certain uniqueness.
Lance,
Yeah.
I have a quick question, and I know you're going on, but about your dad. And knowing that, like, did you guys ever have that conversation before, you know, as you with him being sick and everything? Did you guys ever have a conversation?
Yes, we did.
Okay, it's just kind of like.
Yeah, so I'm going to bridge that together.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
eventually I had this conversation at 19.
Okay.
And I shared with my father about this guy named Chris. I'm going to keep his last name out.
Okay.
And I shared with him and I told him what had happened. And my dad is a vengeful guy and he's very protective. Very, very protective. He wanted to shoot him. He wanted to go, and when we caught up with him, me and my other two brothers, we caught up with him. And I said, I can't not live with him on my that like that. So we did some old-fashioned batting knees together. You know, and so I didn't mean to say it like that, but you know, he and from that point on, he has been so overprotective of me.
Okay, so once he knew, then
he felt so, because he left that lifestyle way in the 80s. You know, he turned to new life, a new way, and he became a dad that I needed, right? And then in turn, I became that son he needed at the end, right? I took care of him to his last breath. I kept moving him from Springfield Fiber to Hillcrest here, and I was with him to his last days. And I felt honored, right, to go to school, come get off the bus, walk through the little alleyway and at Hillcrest, and go to the Hillcrest nursing home rehab, and I felt it was a privilege and an honor to take care of this man. Like, there was nothing he never denied me, especially after, you know, I would say he was my greatest enabler because he didn't want to see me practicing some things when I was in active addiction. So he would rather just, he was always telling me, do never lie to me. I'm one person you don't never have to make up a story or ever lie to. So I never have to lie to my dad. And I was always very truthful with him and honest as possible because he lived the lifestyle at once upon a time. He was a part of that lifestyle that my drug addiction got me into. You get it? You know?
I hear what you're saying.
So we were real close. So I was able to tell him, like, this is how I make money, Dad. And there's some practicing some spiritual principles. And he said, son, I would rather have you call me. You don't need to make up no story. If you need money, just let me know.
Okay.
I'd rather have you not break the law, not try to rob somebody. If you need something, I got it for you. And he always have. He never said no to me. So I just wanted to be there for him.
Right.
It was the right thing to do. There's something about the power of forgiveness. I had forgiven Chris who abused me for the summer. There's something because it
stays with you if you don't.
It will eat you up.
Will.
And to be able to relinquish that and to let it go and not let it no longer control me because I would allow it to control me and to just like they was doing it for me. And the God I serve is a forgiving God. I mean, I've done some things in my past that I'm not too happy about, right? It wasn't that to that extent, no.
Right.
No. But there's some things that I need to be forgiven.
In terms of just, do you feel like it's all out, like in terms of the forgiveness, and like, do you think that you still harbor any thoughts about that time?
I I've been blessed, extremely blessed, to be able to experience all the things that I've gone through, and to made it over the other side, and to be able to view it differently. Like, if it wasn't for that trauma, I would never been in a school where I was with mentally challenged kids and have that experience of being the cheerleader today. Like, there's some things that have happened to me that I would not have been able to have the compassion and understanding unless I walked in that walk and made it on the other side. There's something to say when God have you going through things, you're not going through it alone because he still have a hedge of protection around you because I'm still here.
You're still here.
Even without my permission, God still had his hands on me. So, like, how dare I hold that still? God can't work in my spirit if I have this negativity and stuff in me. He doesn't work with chaos. And so I cannot have that animosity. That did I like that? No. Do I condone it? No. Well, wishing on anyone else? No. And I'm glad I took it for someone else.
Okay.
I'm happy that so you don't
That's
understand.
powerful.
I'm happy that I took that pain instead of somebody else.
That's
because
powerful.
they may not have made it through. They may not have made it through. So I'm glad that God had endured me to push me to bring me here today, and that's just my testimony.
Yeah.
This is something I believe in. I believe. And like we don't leave no one behind. And like I was left behind for a moment, but God still saw me through to other places. I still made it to other places. Like I got to a place where my recovery, where I will take someone all the way to Massachusetts. They have a court date. If they need to go here, when I had my car, I always believe we don't leave anyone behind for no reason. We don't judge what we don't know nothing about. And we don't condone or condemn other people if we don't have the information. And then who are we to condemn anyone? You know, we don't know what they're going through, what they're about to go through, and what God has a purpose for them. You couldn't tell me in a million years that I'll be getting ready to go back to school and get my license to be a case counselor. I didn't want to be a counselor. I didn't even see that coming. But somehow, like being a sponsor and writing my 12 steps in NA, and I was able to sponsor men and women. And so one day at the women's house, they had bring your sponsor in and share for them to share. And they asked me to come back the following Monday. And then they asked me to come back again. So next month. So I'm volunteering these Mondays from 1:30 to 2:30 to give my experience, strength, and hope to these women each week for free. It's like the 8th week they said, well, you might as well get a job here. I said, I ain't no man gonna work at no all women's halfway house. And unbeknownst to me, they was listening to me run groups. They thought I had already went to school for it. The director and the house manager, the director, they thought I went to school already for this. And I said, no, this just comes natural. Yeah. What? And then my own sponsor, I've been trying to tell you in the wrong field. There's been people that have been telling me I'm in the wrong field. I don't belong in nursing. I need to be...
Is that when you made the switch? Because I know that you are really proud about, like, your nursing.
I was.
Yeah.
But then there's the switch. Now I am working at the Women's Halfway House, unattended. I never attended to work at an all-women's halfway house and worked there for 3.5 years. And then the women's house closed down, and then I went to where I'm at now at the men's house. And now I have a different job position during the day, which I get to run group. I get to do something I love. I get to watch men and help men decide for themselves how their treatment should go. Like, I don't get to dictate. I don't tell them how this. I just help them, guide them. Yeah. And it's such a pleasure to watch someone come in. It's not pleasurable watching them being beat down, coming in. But the pleasure is watching seeing that light bulb that come up and they say, okay, you know, you never know when they're going to get this. But as long as they're getting it the way they should get it, it just, I don't know, it's just a joy to watch and to be a part of.
And I'm curious, too, because you have a especially unique vantage point where you've been on the other side.
Yes.
So I'm sure that you sort of manage the situation with an extra dose of that compassion, but you also know where someone else maybe from the outside maybe would have to gauge there. Should I push a little bit more? Should I pull back? You kind of might know from personal experience, all right, I'm going to push this person a little bit because I think that they can do it and take it.
And we don't treat everyone like a cookie cutter.
Right, absolutely.
So everybody's recovery is different. And having experience being a resident, now being on the side as a caseworker and a counselor, and running groups, and so I have to wear these different hats, right? Like now when I'm at work, I'm not in recovery. I am staff, and I have to hold this. I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, but I'm not in recovery. So when I see me in the room, they know they can identify. They know they see me there, and they know that I am in recovery, and that I'm more trustworthy, I guess.
Because you've been there.
I've been there, and they know I've been there because they see me in the room. They see me doing different things, like for my recovery.
Okay. When you say that they see you, that means they see you in an active group?
Yes. So, like, I have held many different little positions. And I say little because I don't like blowing nothing up.
Yeah.
But, like, I've been program chair of conventions. I've been vice chair of convention. Today I do H&I, which means hospitals and institutions. So it's what we have a subcommittee of panel leaders who we bring people into various different organizations like CSS or McGee, and we bring speakers in. Okay. And it's a commitment. Right. And I do it twice a month. The last 2 Mondays of the last third and the fourth Monday of the month. Now I bring in a commitment to these places, and it's a commitment that I get, that giving back. And we have the slogan: "You can't keep it unless you give it away." So that's our slogan, right? Like, and Narcotics Anonymous has many slogans, and I'm so grateful that God has. And I know God is not through with me. I know if you'd have told me 10, 12 years that I would be here, I would say that's a fantasy, that's a dream. And I tell people my worst day clean is still better than my best day out there using. There's no comparison. The freedom that I have today is, I don't have the big nice car or whatever. But God gave me 2 wonderful feet that don't ache, and I can get to work back and forth. I live in a penthouse, but I live in an attic that I call the penthouse.
It's a penthouse to you.
It's a penthouse to me. Yes. I'm a simple person that people say I'm a gay bougie black man. No, I'm just TLance. I'm just TLance. How you want to perceive me. Don't perceive me by what I have on. Don't judge me for what I have on. You'll be missing.
Wait, so people call you bougie?
Yeah, because they call me bougie. Not in a stuck-up way, because I just like to have nice, neat, clean.
So for folks who may not know the term bougie, so bougie denotes an extra level of flair.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So I have that extra level of flair, and there's not many of me in a meeting.
Okay.
The thing is, I get to be me.
Okay.
And people still love me.
Okay.
I get to go to church and be me.
Okay.
That was one of the reasons why I don't go and get Price Memorial shout-out. Like, I came into the church not knowing what to expect, and I was told to be me. And I've been me ever since, and I haven't left the church ever since.
Yes.
So one of the things that is going on at my church as well is I get to help out with the kids.
Yes, you do. And
we have different kids there from different spectrum, a level of the spectrum, and regular kids that need extra help after school. And when Manny Slaughter told me this, I was excited to what can I do to help?
Yes.
So I believe in the kids. I believe the kids are our future. And I've never, if I had someone to talk to back then, maybe if there was something that somebody could have seen. Something. If there was a trail crumb or something, like if there was something, maybe certain things might not have happened. But I can't go, what if it could?
Yeah.
I can go, let me be there for someone now.
Right.
Let me help some of these kids, because I've been to school and classes with some of these kids that's on different parts of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So I have a compassion beyond that. I just love being able to go down there. I said Wednesdays and Thursdays are my full day. I got choir rehearsal.
Yeah.
I got the kids, and then
So you're like a tutor.
Yes, I tutor.
Okay.
We help kids with their grades to read and write.
Okay.
With their math homework.
Okay.
And so like it's enjoyable. We take them to the park. But there's one thing I need to add into this before we get too far. Like, so Narcan help people with drug overdose, and so the Pittsfield has a high rate of heroin addicts, and they seem to sometimes they dispose of their needles in certain places. I go to before we bring the kids out.
Okay.
It's about the kids' protection first. So we go out to the park and we pick up syringes and everything first.
Okay.
I make sure that the kids are safe. I make sure that there's nothing on the playground.
Okay.
And I would like to see more effort from harm reduction places to get more active in our community.
Okay.
We have some Narcan boxes in Dalton to prevent overdose.
Okay.
Walk them out in their shoes. Somebody had to walk them out in my shoes, and it was me in order for me to get help. Now, I may not have shot drugs, but I did drugs. And something I'm not proud of, but it's who I am today. I'm in recovery. I'm happy to be in recovery today. Someone didn't give up on me. Someone did not give up, besides God, my mother. People didn't give up on me. I found a place in narcotics, and I found some hope. Right? And people in my church embraced me, held me down, and so I believe in giving back. And so I want to go to certain businesses that's in my community so they can have Narcan. Because the last thing a child needs to see is their parents ODing. And so if they was able to know that where certain boxes of Narcan so they can spray and to be able to have more classes to teach, even at our church.
Well, I do know. I think that there's a campaign right now.
Right. They was able to open up one place in Dalton.
Okay.
I forget his name, begins with a J.
A J.
And I will think what his name is in a little while. But
okay.
I know he's heading it, and I need to get in contact with him because I like to help him in Pittsfield.
All right. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Dalton end of things, but I know from, like, with Pittsfield, there's definitely, to your point, about making it more accessible and also to normalize the fact that people need help. This helps people, and so I think that people may be surprised at who has Narcan on them because it's something that nowadays people have to.
I ride the bus.
Okay.
I keep it in my duffel bag.
Okay.
And
have you ever had to use it?
No, not yet. Okay. But I do know how to use it. I've been certified to use Narcan and give CPR and first aid.
Okay.
But no, I have not had the opportunity.
Well, that's a good thing.
That's a blessing.
That's a good thing.
Right? But there's people that have died that I know. I have buried so many people since I've been in Pittsfield because of overdose. That's something that could have been prevented if they didn't use by themselves. If there's someone was there. And my thing is, do not use by yourself if you're injecting drugs. Use for someone if if you are using together and someone is overdosing, call 911. We have this
the bystander.
As a bystander, we have this Good Samaritan law in place where they won't arrest you for being a part of. As long as you got them help, they won't question you and ask you for ID and all of that. As long as you call and it's for help.
Well, you're sharing that part, that portion, and it's an important part. Is this something that you feel called to say because of the stories and the things that you have seen?
Yes. I've seen most of my share that I probably should see and been a part of. And I still wouldn't trade it.
That's interesting to me.
I still wouldn't trade the trauma.
What if you had... that's an interesting thing, Lance.
The thing is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Jesus bared the cross for us.
Yeah.
Right? He took the whipping.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not Jesus, but I was able to take a beating for someone else. to get to where I'm at. And I don't want somebody else to have to suffer. If me as a little boy, what if some other little boy had to go through this? I wouldn't wish that on no one.
So is that how you? And that's an interesting way to view it. I'd never, because you're looking at it through the lens of I'm protecting someone else. Like by me taking it, I help someone else.
So and it helped me to learn. And once I got over a lot of the pain things, was educated and lived my life and the good and the bad, right? There's even a song, "Good and the Bad." He loved me through my good and my bad, right? I wouldn't change nothing.
Okay.
I because if there's any change to my story, it wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah, I've always wondered about the one thing that, if the one thing didn't happen, who would we be? I mean, you make me think about my story too. Like if we never came to this country, because we came to this country when I was in 1981.
And you wouldn't be placed here.
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be me.
And I wouldn't be having this opportunity. You wouldn't have your 3 wonderful kids.
I would be another version of me, which, to be honest, intrigues me. Because I always think about, what would that version be like, right? What if
I would have been hetero with a father and raising kids?
Yeah.
Would I be a good father? I think I would have made an excellent father. I'm an excellent godfather. I have like 5, 6 godchildren.
Okay.
Who I spoil rotten.
Okay.
I love kids.
Yes.
I don't have none of my own.
Okay.
I have all my siblings, nieces, and nephews. I wouldn't change nothing.
Okay.
I would have to, no. I needed experience to go through everything to be able to appreciate where I have today and to appreciate how I help people today. How I help people today is because of the pain I went through.
I hear you.
So I would not want to change the nothing. I am who I am today, and who I'll be tomorrow is because of the path I walk. Just think about turning. Before you hit that path, you took another path in another direction. Which you got to experience all the beauty and all the things that you notice on this path.
Right.
No, you would have missed it. You would have missed. There would have been so much that you would have missed. You might have missed a lot of pain, or you might have experienced a different type of pain that you might not have been able to walk out of. You know, so I am who I am today because of all the things that I've been through, good, bad, and indifferent.
And you accept all of it.
And I have acceptance on all of it.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I like it.
Okay.
Acceptance means I just deal with it. And I can choose to wallow in the pain and the suffering, or I can use to turn it to advantage and to help other people and help myself.
Okay. Real quickly, because we're wrapping up soon, but who or what motivates you to keep going?
I say my dad looking down on me, being proud of me.
Okay.
The teaching of the word.
Okay.
The teaching of the word.
Okay.
And I don't know, my predecessors.
Okay.
I want to make them proud. Like people whose shoulders I stand on today. Still carrying the work, because some little guy is going to be standing on my shoulder carrying on the work I'm doing today.
Okay.
So they need a positive role model.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. And if you had to choose one word to describe you, what would that be?
Courageous.
Yeah.
That's the only word I can think of. Is I've been courageous through a lot and been through a lot. And God has always brought me through. But to be able to walk through it, to get through it, to do something different. I never. Do you think it was easy going to school at 47 with a bunch of teenagers? And the fear that I had, but I went through it courageously, because I knew how to ask for help.
Yeah.
I was afraid to go to school, BCC. And the work that I did to learn to do there, like reach back and help another brother, started a whole new organization there, got to meet all the wonderful people like Senator Hines and the fire department and the NAACP, all these guys who would go to Cosby and we would read books to them, like being able to make a difference. And then be able to rub shoulders with these people, those shoulders that I stand on because they was here before me. Want to make them proud.
All right. Well, you, I think you have, and indeed you have been courageous, and through your pain, you have taken your pain and turned it into something that is truly powerful. And so I thank you. Thank you for sharing yourself. Thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, you've been listening to Backstory. Let's hear it on WTBR-FM Pittsville with Roberta McCulloch-Dews. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a great day.